crack, guys? How are you? Thanks to God with a Gun for suggesting this song. If anybody has any more suggestions or requests, please put them in the comments below and I'll do my best to look at them. So I always like to check the amp online that was used. Google is saying the rectifier was used on Freak on a Leash. In Quad Cortex, the rectifier is the CA Duo Channel 3 Modern. And so we'll just load that up as our first block here. And we'll just pair it with a cab. We're going to use the 412 CA stand OS AV3003. And so out of the box, that's going to give us this sound here. That's not a bad start. You can already tell that's reasonably close to the sound they have. So now we can refine that a bit. So when setting the gain, if you go too low, we're going to get something like, which isn't heavy enough. If we bring it up another bit, that's kind of reasonably okay, to be honest there. I'd say if we got like, just go all the way. Even at full gain, it's not bad. The rectifier just kind of kicks ass for metal, but I'm gonna back it off a bit just to avoid any mess when we bring it to the mix. So counterintuitively, we're gonna drop the bass. This is kind of a weird thing with metal. You would think that you have loads of bass because it sounds really heavy, but generally you wanna bring the bass down quite a bit, I find, because it helps you fit into the song better. It helps the bass come through. Especially a bass player like Fieldy, you want to give him room. So we'll just hold the chorus chord here and see if we can find the sweet spot for the bass next. I'm finding on the rectifier that there's actually not a huge variance on the bass dial in general. It just isn't doing a huge amount. It feels like they designed the amp knobs to not let you stray away from the sweet sound too much. We'll do the same with the mids here. Again, kind of small differences. I think we'll keep it lowish though. We can make some room for the vocals by keeping low mids. So let's see what the treble does. Okay, so there's a much bigger difference on the treble knob, I find. That's making a much more obvious difference. We don't want to be too harsh, so we'll see how harsh we can get if we keep it full. Kind of similar to the other knobs. It feels like it doesn't let you get to a point where it's too much. The rectifier is just, it's well made. We'll see what it's like with low treble now. That can get quite muddy, in fairness. In a mix, you're gonna get lost with that pretty quick. I'll say we'll bring it up to like roughly halfway-ish. We'll try something like this. That sounded pretty good to me. Presence, again, let's just check the extremes. Not too bad again, and we'll go all the way down. So this is like the bass and mids in my ears. It's not letting you get outside the bounds of into like a messy, horrible zone. So we'll kind of just leave this middle of the road again. Something like 4.7, I think is what I used. Setting the master and the output is going to be more of a mixed phase kind of thing. But I used 3.5 in the master and 7.7 on the output there. And that presence was supposed to be 4.7. The cab is also going to have a huge effect on the sound. Moving the mic around, the closer you get to the middle, it's going to sound a lot brighter and harsher. And then moving out to the sides, we're going to get a lot darker. I'll turn off the ribbon mic. So we just have the 57 here. You can have a listen. On this one, I used 0.7. I got in reasonably close. And I did a distance of 1.5. On the ribbon mic, I had 0.4 on the position and 1.6 on the distance. And that's given us this here. Quick question, by the way. I was considering doing lesson videos to pair with these tone tutorials. If people want to know how to use this patch and for me to teach you how to play it, please let me know below and I'll start doing those too. Moving on to page 2 on the cab, we have no changes on my screenshot. So this is all default also. So moving over to the input, we're a little bit noisy. So we might kick on the noise gate. I set the reduction here to 33.6. And that's just going to clean up that hum we've got in the background. And we'll just assign this to scenes. And then back in the amp, actually, we'll assign all the parameters to scenes just so we can have a lot of control as to how it changes throughout the song, because Freak on a Leash, the sounds in the different sections are quite different. On the output, we're going to set the volume here to 6. So if you're playing this with a band or in your own cover, you can obviously just adjust these as to what fits you. So now that we've picked an amp, we're going to start focusing in more on the snapshots. For snapshot A on this, we're going to be doing the sustained verse sound, this guy here. We'll need a reverb, so we're going to use the Hall reverb here. But let's try slowly bring back the mix from 100% and find a sweet spot. I think somewhere like that then. We'll use 55.3. And you can hear that that's kind of similar to that sound already. We'll do a teeny adjustment on the decay. The decay is how long the reverb lasts after you stop playing. So we'll keep this near default. I had 4.07, and then it looks like I left everything else at default. Another question, if you'd like me to detail what these knobs do every time I'm running through, please let me know. I'm not fully sure what level of knowledge the people watching these videos are at yet. Next, we're going to add a compressor, and that's basically going to let us hold the note easier in the verse, because they're really long sustained notes, and you'll find that the guitar will drop away in volume, and without the help of a compressor. We'll use this guy here and set the threshold to the lowest possible, which will just mean it'll kick in sooner. And we're also going to set the ratio really high, which will reduce anything that goes above the threshold more. So it'll make the sound more consistent in volume. We'll also kick in the attack and release really fast so that it's just instant and we don't get a pumping effect. If you think of this makeup dial as the output, we're going to turn that down so it doesn't hit the amp as hard. And now we're getting this. And you can see on the gain reduction there, the amount that it's reducing the gain. So that's kind of doing a good job of keeping the volume level. Next, we're going to get the song in the right key. I've been playing in standard, but the real song is in, I think it's in drop C. I found a way to play it in standard that I prefer. So we're going to use this pitch transpose and bring it down 2 semitones. And now we're getting this. The last thing we're doing on the verse is going to add an EQ that pulls the sound into the background, because it's not like a upfront in your ears kind of sound. It's like a subtle droney background thing. And I was quite severe with this. I used number 4 here, which is default and it's a high shelf. And I pulled the frequencies down to 179, something like this here. And I pulled the gain down to minus 10.8. So I'll actually type those in. And now we're getting this. Because without that, that can be quite overbearing in the mix. After the verse, we're going to get into a heavy sound. So we're going to switch over to scene B. We're going to disable the parametric EQ. And we have to remember here to right click this and assign it to scenes, so we can knock it off on scene B. Same with the reverb, assign it to scenes, turn it off. Same on the compressor, we don't want that. We're going to turn that off. So now we've kind of got a dry sound again, which is something like this. And we'll just make a few more adjustments. The input can be left as it is. And we're also going to add a Klon Centaur, which is the myth drive here. We're going to set the gain to 3, treble to 10, and the level to 4.2. And that's just going to give us this here. And then revisiting the amp, we'll just tweak some settings around. In my screenshot here, I brought the bass up a little bit, I guess to give some power back to the guitar. I pulled the mids all the way out to allow Jonathan's voice through the mix more. The treble I've got at 9.4, presence at 6.7. Now with that EQ, we'll listen to it here. I brought the gain up a smidge to 8.4, and then some volume tweaking. You just tweak these to get it sounding correct with the other instruments. We're also going to assign the output volume to assign to scenes so that we can turn it off for the next scene. That's scene B done, and it's sounding like this. Last scene is scene C. That is the part in the bridge where he's doing all that weird singing. We're going to toggle our scene here to C. We're going to turn the volume down to 0 in the output. We're also going to do it on the amp. I don't know which one it is. I think it's the output. If you just rely on that and you switch scenes, sometimes you can get these weird volume spikes. So I just like to kill it across the board on the amp and on the output. We'll open up another path here with the same amp. On this, we'll set it to input 1. And we are going to grab that amp again, the same amp, and we'll assign these two here to scenes because we just need to knock those off on A and B, which I guess we can do now. So on A, we want this off. On B, we want this off. And then on C, this amp's going to turn on. I might as well put in my settings that I had here as well to make it mixed properly with the song. So that's 2.6 on the master and minus 12.5 on the output. We'll also throw in the cab so we can have a listen to how it sounds. I'm just going to copy this one here and paste it here. And if you can't hear any noise like I can, you just click this plus and we're going to do multiple outputs just to fully enable that path. And so we'll listen to how it sounds so far. What we're getting is this. There's quite a bit to go to get that sound that it has on the bridge. Going back to the cab here, we've got the position at 2.5 on the 57 mic and the distance at 3.0. And we'll set the ribbon to 3.0 on the position and 2.5 on the distance. On page 2, I've got that as default. We're also going to want to copy our detuner here. We've got this so far. Quick look at the output as well to make sure we've got the right volume up at 6 so we can actually hear it. And now we can start dialing in our amp to get a bit closer. It's a lower gain sound than the rest of the song. It's a little bit more relaxed, something like this. I removed a lot of bass on this as well. It's not that it's competing as much in this section because it's a bit quieter. It's just more so to pull away a lot of bass so that when the drop happens after this part, it hits really heavy. So I pull all the bass out for that. I have 0.6 on mine. I've got the mids at 10 here because it's a bit more of a focal point in that bridge. It's like counterbalancing Jonathan's weird singing. And we've got this so far. Got the treble at 3.7 and the presence at 5.2. The next big jump in getting this close to that sound is going to be the compressor. We're going to do the legendary 87 and we're going to say this is going to kick in pretty early because it's quite a strange sound. We'll leave the ratio at 12 and we want, again, really fast settings so that we don't get that pumpy compressor sound. We'll set the makeup to 9, which is basically like the output. Now we're getting something like this. So we're almost there, a few more blocks and we'll have it. We're going to use an EQ block next and we're just going to put a bit of a hump in the middle. I went for 961 and we're going to go for gain at 7 and the gain is fine as it is, and that's just going to again bring us into a really kind of a focal point. Number 3 here, we're going to do 2737, minus 12 is fine on the gain, and 1.94 on the Q. And that's giving us this. And what's going to get us over the finish line for scene C is a really weird modulation block. We're just going to use a rotary. And what that is basically it's a speaker in a cabinet that's on a rotor and it spins around. They use them for organs. You can imagine that wobbly organ sound. By default, we're getting this. We're going to set it to fast, and the fast speed was 5.9. We can ignore the slow speed. We won't bother with sync. We'll put the drive up to 100% and the brightness up to 100%. That's giving us this. That's it there. That's what you could probably call the secret to getting that sound. On page 2, there's a sneaky setting for horn mic width. We're just going to bring that up as well, and that should be everything on that pack. Just double checking our output here. We've got these set to 6 and pan in middle. Next, we're going to look at the other guitar. We're going to do some weird stuff on this one and set the input gain to minus 24 and assign that to scenes, and the output can be default. And we're going to grab the same amp we had before, the CA Duo Channel 3 Modern. And we're also going to pair that with the same cab, which is the 412 CA Stand OS AV3003. We'll also add our pitch blocks so we can start testing it out and playing it and seeing how it sounds. We're going to need the transpose at minus 2 semitones like the other guitar was. And on the second pitch block, we're going to use a whammy. The whammy is fine at default, and we're just going to make sure that we set the expression pedal as 1 here to pedal block. And now you'll see we'll be able to mess with the pitch. The last thing I'm going to do before we start playing is put on a cave reverb and just set the mix here to 37.6. So let's dial the amp in. We're going to need to turn it up to accommodate for the input. The reason we turn down the input is to turn the rectifier into a clean amp. If there's a low input hitting the amp at the front, the cleaner it'll be. But we obviously have to make up for that a bit here. So far we're getting this. We're going to assign all the amp settings to scenes so that we can tweak them between the scenes. And we're going to say the gain is going to be nice and low at 2. This is a really thin sound already, so we're going to fatten it up a little bit because it is an octave up. We need to balance that out a bit, and we need to back off on the high frequencies just so it's not kind of annoying in the ears. You want it to be kind of a pleasant high sound. So that's probably really quiet for you guys as well. So we're going to do the compressor here. We'll bring in this, and that's going to recover some of our volume. The threshold is going to be really low to kick in early, -58, and we're going to go extreme with the settings again, just because this is more of like a sound effect than normal guitar playing. We're going to do really fast settings here, just minimize both attack and release. That'll avoid that pumping compressor sound. Full ratio. The makeup gain is going to be 23 decibels, which will get us auto bill again. If you guys aren't already doing it, the pedal should be rocked fully forward on this sound. So another thing that's going to get us a lot of the way there is we're going to use that same rotary block that we used on the other lead sound. Rotary, we're going to set it to fast. This should be mostly fine at default. And now we've got this. That's mostly that sound now. Last thing we need is an EQ block to just take away a little bit more of the harshness. We're going to use the parametric 8 here, and we're going to use number 4 here and set it to low pass. And we're going to set the frequency to 2911, and we're going to set the output to 1.7. And that's going to give us this noise here. We'll have another look at the cab mic position in here. We're going to bring the mics in more central, so they're a little bit more obvious. That'll give us a bit more treble. And we'll back them off a bit. And same with the ribbon 160, we're going to do 1.3 and the distance of 1.4. On page 2, we'll just assign the output volume to scenes, and we're going to boost it all the way up. And now we should have this. Okay, let's switch over to scene B, which is going to be like our heavy sound. We're going to pop the input back to normal here because it's just a normal heavy sound. We're also going to turn off the majority of the effects blocks. So we assign to scenes, turn them off because we just really want the amp here. So yeah, the EQ here, the compressor should be off, the modulator should be off, the reverb should be off. Oh, the whammy should be off here as well. We should just have the correct pitch and the amp. That's currently sounding like this. Yeah, that's mostly fine, but we'll just do some little tweaks. Probably a little bit more gain on this sound. We'll reduce bass and mids just to clear up some of the sound and get out of the way of the other instruments. And then we'll just boost treble to 6.1 and reduce the presence to 3.7. And that's going to give us this here. Back on the cab block, we're going to bring this down to 2, just to kind of set volumes normally again. And so now if we compare scene A to scene B, we get there's a big step up in volume, which you want on the heavy part. So you want a nice subtlety on the verses with scene A, and then for it to drop heavy into scene B. Finish line is in sight. We're going to start working on scene C. First thing we'll do is normalize that input gain again. And we're going to turn on the noise gate this time here. We'll make sure it's assigned to scenes though first. Now we'll toggle this, and we can set that to 36.9. On this scene, we only want the rotary block off. On the foot pedal, so far we're getting this. Let's crank the gain just to really get it crazy. And we'll make some adjustments to the EQ, again with the idea of getting out of the way of some of the lower instruments. We'll do 1.4 on the bass, we'll do 4.3 on the mids, we'll do 6.3 on the treble and 7.0, and these will just kind of pull us to the front of those frequencies. Now we're getting this. For my volumes here, I've got a minus 11.4 on the output and 1.7 on the master. Back to the cab, we're going to boost it all the way again. And that sounded like this so far. So yeah, let's just do a final lap across the 3 scenes. At the start, we've got this. And then B is our kind of heavier sound here. And then C is the end of the song, which is this here. If you guys enjoyed me building this together, I've also got Cowboys from Hell here and Slaughter to Prevail's Bonebreaker here. Cheers.